Bwaaa!
Bwaaa trash fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Bwaaa, King of the Hill Rewatch Podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm Rusty.
So, Rusty, we had to take a week off to invite people back into the show. And why did we do that, Rusty?
Oh, I had a child.
You had a child.
Yeah, I had a baby boy,
That's
10 pounds,
amazing.
15 ounces.
Congratulations. Little Bobby.
Little Bobby. Little Bobby Hill. The boy ain't right.
Your boy's right, though. That's good. I'm glad,
Oh, absolutely.
man. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
Very happy for you. You sent me those pictures, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, he's a huge one. He's a big old boy.
Like, when are we going to record again? All right, so we are on season 4, season 4. We're on season 1.
Yeah, season 14, episode 12.
We're on
Yeah,
season 1,
season
episode
one.
8.
Episode 8.
This is Shins of the Father.
Yep, Shins of the Father. This is where we actually introduced to the patriarch of the Hill family, Cotton Hill.
Yeah.
Playing words, caught in hell.
This is, yeah, Caught in Hell. This is where we meet Dee Dee.
Yeah, you meet Dee Dee as well.
And her tatas.
And her tatas,
Yeah.
which is Hank's kindergarten friend.
They're both lefts.
Yep.
So we get started with this one before the credits.
Bobby Hill.
This is
no
one
credits,
of those ease-ins, where Hank is upset because this letter came back that Bobby sent. He sent an invitation to his grandfather, Cotton, and he said, Grandpa Cotton Hill, address Hell, USA.
Hell, USA, yeah. And then he says, well, you know, your grandpa lives in Houston, not Hell.
Which is kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
For all
down
those
there,
listeners in Houston.
In Houston.
It is kind of.
And Argentina.
Yeah, we found out today that we have a ton of listeners in Argentina. So
hola.
Happy Argentina Day. So he gets the letter back, and Hank is obviously upset about it, and he asks how Bobby could have written that. And he said that Peggy said that Cotton is the devil.
Yeah.
But he's not, he says, well, he's not the devil. She said, I did not say that. She said, I said that he's evil. I don't know how you get the devil from evil.
From evil, yeah. Add a letter, add one letter there, Peggy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Boggle champ, you figured being a boggle champ should be able to take evil and make anything out of it.
The problem is that Hank's still upset. He wants to know why Bobby wouldn't want his grandfather at his birthday party. Because Bobby's birthday party's coming up. I think I left that part out. But he says, well, the kids are all. I don't want Grandpa there. The kids are already going to hate me because you got the wrong bean dip.
The wrong bean dip. Yeah.
The wrong bean dip. He said, what's wrong with it? Wait, what's wrong with your grandpa? He talks about him having big plastic teeth and how he screams all the time that his legs don't work. Yeah, which I think is one of my favorite memes or whatever you want to call it from this entire series. Just the fact that he's got shins that were blown off in WW2.
Well, the thing for me too is because anybody that got their shins blown off in WW2 didn't have their feet sewn onto their knee. So that's the whole funny part of it is that he gets his feet sewed to his knee instead of having crutches or a wheelchair or something like that, like Lieutenant Dan or titanium alloy, the stuff they made the spaceships out of. He has his
they
feet.
Just put them right onto the bottom of his knees.
On it, yeah.
And then he talks about how how he lost his shins defending Texas in WW2.
Defended Texas,
Yeah.
not the United
Not the
States,
US.
not the world, not
Yeah.
Europe, but he was defended Texas.
No, it was Texas. So he tells Bobby to get over there and get on that phone and call your grandpa and invite him to your birthday party. So Bobby waddles over to the phone.
And he just pushes like
dials-
3 buttons.
he
And he
dials
puts the
3
phone
numbers.
up to his
Yeah.
ear.
He said, "Bobby, if you're gonna do that, you got to hit more than 3 numbers."
Yeah.
So that goes straight into the credits, and we got no screaming and no cowbell
No screaming, no cowbell.
or dinner bell, I guess.
Dinner
is.
bell, yeah.
Dinner bell, not cowbell. Yeah, we got neither one of those. So I think one of the things I did skip over is the fact that they were blowing up balloons for Bobby's party.
Yeah, that's what
I
they
want
were
to
doing
make
in
sure
the first few scenes. Yeah.
I want to make sure I mention this because not only are they blowing up balloons, but then Bobby takes them. He can't tie them. They die, and then Luann takes them and hangs them up anyway.
Oh
Even
yeah,
though
so
they're
she's
not-
got limp
not
balloons
even-
hanging all over the house.
They're
Yeah,
not even blown up. Yeah, it's great.
That is good.
So then we're gonna go into now we're at the party,
Yep.
right? And Peggy is talking to her friends about how that damn cotton's coming to town, and there's one friend, I don't think they say her name, but you never see her again. There's like 4 or 5 ladies over there, including Peggy.
Oh yeah, you're talking about at the dinner table or whatever at the picnic table.
Yeah.
There's I think there's men, and then there's one. I think there's one that's just some random woman in like
There's men. There's Peggy.
She's like in blue with some glasses on or something.
Yeah. And she asked what's wrong with him, and she said, "Oh, nothing. Just Hank's father driving in for the party." And then they all talk about how crazy Cotton Hill is.
Oh yeah, but you skipped Bill. So like right after the credits, it's got Bill in a slip and slide, and he's running and he hits the slip and slide, and he slides all the way down, and he hits the fence and breaks the fence. He goes, "This thing's a hoot. I got a splinter." Yeah. Is it blowing through the fence?
So this is where the ladies are gonna. This is a little bit of exposition where they tell us about what has happened with Cotton. She talks about how he left Hank's mom and married his 16. Well, the weird woman that we never see, but again, she says that she heard that Cotton left Hank's mom and married his 16-year-old nurse.
Yeah.
She said, I don't think she's 69. 16. She's 39.
Dee Dee is 39.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Although
Well,
parts of her
much younger.
That's right. So Bobby is trying to impress the kids at the party and the people at the party, and he's just dying out there. Nothing's happening for
Aren't
him.
you glad I didn't say banana?
Right.
And then he gets that one kid who's always, I can't remember his name. He's always talking shit all throughout the whole show.
Well, he's the one that's always like, "You got divorced."
You got divorced. Yeah, you got divorced. Your
what he says to
parents are
Bill later,
divorced.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he's griping to Hank. Bobby's griping to Hank about how he can't get the crowd behind him. You know, he's doing his best stand-up routines. Like he blew up a balloon with his nose.
Yeah.
Hank wants to know if he burped the alphabet. He said, "No, that's my closer."
That's my closer, Dad. Yeah.
He goes, "I even did this thing." And then that's the first time we get to see Bobby pull up his pants way high and
He
go,
goes, what are you talking about?
Yeah, his obvious Jewish character with high pants.
Yeah, and then it goes to Boomhauer, and you get the fat kids are always the funny ones. Dang old John Candy, John Belushi, not before they dug their graves.
Hank is grilling burgers, of course, and ask them which one they want. And Bill says, "I'll take that steak." He says, "The hell you will. Did you win World War II? This ribeye is for my daddy."
No, it was not Bill. It was, what's his name? Sufa Newsom.
Oh, it was Khan.
Yeah, it was Khan. Khan said, "Can I have that?" Because Khan.
And then they tell Khan that he needs to get out of there because if he finds out he's from Japan.
Yeah, if he finds out from your Japan, you know how many times I tell you, I'm Laotian.
How many times I tell you, stupid. Then there's a little bit of a ruckus, and in comes Cotton riding a horse.
Riding a horse.
He's happy birthday, Bobby.
Yeah.
and Hank, who never sees his dad for who he is.
Never.
Dad, you crazy son of a gun. You really outdid it this time. Well, you know me.
I'm larger than life. Yeah.
I'm larger than life.
Yeah, I'm larger than life.
So, yeah, there's just nothing better to me than Cotton.
Nah, he's one of my favorite of the show. He's just so blatantly himself. Yeah.
He strolls right up to Con. And so, and they're like,
pick you a live one. Yeah.
He said, he goes, I think it was Bill that said, he's from Japan or whatever, and he goes, nope, he's Laotian.
Yep.
Like he can pick him out.
Like even he knew. Nope, he's Laotian.
Nope, he's Laotian.
Yeah.
So he asked Bobby, how much you like this horse? He said, I love it. He goes, well, you can love it for 4 hours more because obviously it's a rented horse.
Yeah.
So he, everybody's gonna take a ride. The funniest thing, or one of the funniest things about Cotton to me, is just his lack of respect for Peggy. Also,
complete lack of respect for Peggy.
All he ever calls her is Hank's wife.
Hank's wife.
Hank's wife. And so Peggy has the same sort of disrespect for him.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, she always just calls him Cotton. But then we meet the infamous Dee Dee.
Yep, she walks in.
Did he? So the first question he's got is, how you like your mother's new tatas?
Yeah, I like your mother's tata. Yeah, she's not my mother. Yeah.
What do you think of your mama's new tatas? Hank is very adamant that this is not his mother because they went to kindergarten together.
We went to kindergarten together, yeah.
And Dee Dee's
looks at
just
him,
an idiot.
Yeah, she is airhead for sure.
Hank,
do you still like finger painting?
Still like finger painting? Yeah, and then Bill, we see him at the food line, and here's that kid. And I can't remember the kid's name. I know we find out later just simply because his family leaves him in the photo booth. But yeah, that's way far away. So
Stuart
Bill
Dooley, that's who it is.
Dooley, there we go. So Dooley is in line with Bill. Bill's talking about how much fun he's having, and he's getting all his food on his plate. And Dooley looks at him and goes, "You got divorced."
Yeah, you got divorced.
You got divorced.
No, your wife divorced you.
Your wife divorced you.
Your wife divorced you.
Yeah. So then we start talking about the super squirter, and the super squirter's not working necessarily, and then we're gonna do a pinata.
Yep.
Bobby's got the pinata out. He's going to start smashing it, and he smashes it, and he smashes it, and nothing happens.
No,
and nothing happens. Dale comes over and cuts a hole into it with his pocket knife.
Which I think it's funny because he goes, "Hank, the boy can barely reach it," and Cotton would have never lowered that pinata for Hank.
That's right.
But that shows that's like a precursor to show like how close to him and Bobby are, which is really funny because Bobby is everything that Hank never was.
Oh, yeah.
And that Hank never
he's the
could
son
be.
He always wanted.
Yeah.
So anyway, Bobby is smacking away at this thing, and he can't get anything to happen. And so Cotton busts out the shotgun.
Yeah, you can't give him a loaded shotgun.
And this is a present.
You don't give a toy without batteries. Yeah.
This is a present that he's given to Bobby. He's giving him a loaded shotgun. Peggy has a real problem with this. Does not want her boy to have a shotgun. And then, of course, Cotton is like, "Do you see that, Hank? Tell your woman to give him back his gun."
Yeah.
So he ends up shooting the pinata.
Come and get your Tootsie Rolls.
Come and get your Tootsie Rolls.
And then he comes up and he starts apologizing to him, saying, "Grandpa, I'm sorry. Or, I'm sorry your grandpa ruined your birthday and all that." And he's like, "He didn't ruin it. He made it fun."
That's right.
And then Bobby, they're picking up stuff with gloves on at this time. And then he goes, "Bobby, come on over here, boy. Take off them pink gloves. That's woman's work."
If you look at, he's trying to help do the dishes.
Yeah.
But if you look at this from Bobby's perspective, I mean, this was the best party ever. He got a horse.
He got a shotgun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything happened that he wanted to happen, and it didn't even matter that the bean dip was wrong at that point.
It didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know what 12-year-olds are, pissed off at what bean dip is there. I didn't think 12-year-olds were that wrapped up in bean dip.
No, I didn't think they were that wrapped up in bean dip either, but
it's a popularity contest with bean dip.
obviously the bean dip is a big thing for 12-year-old kids in Arlen, Texas.
So anybody out there,
Whataburger
send
spicy
all
ketchup.
your bean dip recipes.
Whataburger spicy ketchup, bean dip, probably those Pink Panther ice creams with the bubblegum eyes.
Off the truck. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, there you go.
I can imagine all those are a big deal. Yeah, so Bobby is over there trying to help do dishes, and Cotton yells at him about having the pink gloves on, tells him to come on over. And Peggy, once again, with a little bit of anger towards Cotton, says, he's a good boy. He's a good helper or whatever. And he goes, that's woman's work.
That's woman's work.
So Dee Dee is, I do the dishes. I like doing the dishes. And so Cotton's very proud of this.
Oh, yeah. Permission granted.
I have never understood what that relationship is or how it happened. How does Cotton end up with this 36-year-old, 39-year-old woman? How do you think that happens? This is a guy who doesn't have any shins.
Oh, I don't know.
He's got to be, late 60s, early 70s, if not older. Well, shit, he fought in World War II.
World War II, but it's in the 90s, so so he'd at least be in his 60s.
Right. He's got to be in his 60s, probably late 60s.
Probably late 60s.
She's 39. Do they ever explain where they meet?
Yeah.
Oh, she was his nurse.
She was his nurse.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why they say
right.
16-year-old nurse. That's what the joke is.
That's right. So he starts quizzing Bobby about what he's going to do with his life. And Bobby says that he's going to
hold on. You missed one of the best parts.
Yeah.
He goes, when she says, Cotton, I'll do the dishes. He goes, permission granted. Put an apron over your new bosom, too. Don't tell her, but I got them cheap. Both lefties.
They're both lefties.
Yeah,
That's
both
right.
lefties.
That's right. So he's quizzing Bobby about what he's going to do with the rest of his life. And Bobby says he's going to be a prop comic. He's working on a routine where he puts a green bean up his nose.
Well, now that sounds promising.
That sounds promising. Now, if Hank were to say something like that when he was a kid, there's no way that would pass.
And that's the thing is, I think the reason why he likes Bobby so much is that Bobby never tries to be anything but Bobby.
I
guess. And Hank spends his whole life within this.
Yeah.
I don't think that's who he really is or wants to be inside kind of thing.
Trying to live up to his dad.
Beat his ass his whole life, and rode his ass the whole time. And now
we just ignored him.
Ignored him
for the most part.
Ignored him. And when he did not ignore him, it wasn't generally a positive thing, or taking your son out to go see the cows having sex on the side of the road and stuff. It was a little odd.
So Hank comes walking in and he asks what they're talking about, and he says that Bobby's going to be sticking vegetables up his nose.
Yeah. Me and Bobby decided he's going to stick vegetables up his nose.
Yeah. He said he's not going to take over the family gas station.
Dad, I don't work at a gas station.
Don't work at a gas station. I sell propane and propane accessories. Don't sass me, boy.
You ain't too big for me to give you a licking. Yeah.
Dad, you old skunk. I don't understand how Hank can continue to respond to Cotton this way.
I don't know. And then he goes, come on, grease monkey, let's tangle.
He just wants his approval so badly. That's all it is. He's just looking for approval at all time.
Yeah, that's when he breaks the dish or whatever.
Yeah, just starts busting dishes and stuff.
Come on, grease monkey, let's tangle.
Yeah.
To his own son.
We also find out that the horse has run away.
Oh, yeah.
And Cotton's like, don't worry about the horse. If it comes back, we'll call the rental place. So somewhere in between Houston and Arlen, Texas, there's a place where you can rent a horse for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And Cotton, and I'm assuming that there's
clip-clopping down Rainy Street somewhere in the alley.
Yeah, I'm assuming that there's not like rental insurance you can get on a horse like you can on a vehicle or anything, because this thing's gone and he's not even worried about it at all. So they are, and when I say they, I'm talking about Cotton and Dee Dee. They are getting ready to go. The party's over, the fun stopped, and they go out to start the car, and it won't start.
Won't start at all. And see, this is. It seems like every episode that has either one of his parents in it, whether it be his mom or his dad, is always an episode, stewed in chaos. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. Like what we'll see later on in other episodes with Cotton or Hank's mom, it's always some type of chaos that's gonna ensue.
Yeah.
So here they go outside to look at the car. And boom, he says, well, I can't hear the solenoid plunger.
Yeah, he's like, it's the strangest thing. I've never seen a solenoid just disappear. And Luann, though, is ready to help. She's ready to crawl under that car and fix it. And Cotton is, thanks a lot, girly, but the truth is you're a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says, we're going to have to wait till your gas station open up in the morning, talking to Hank, because, of course, he doesn't listen to him. He thinks he works at a gas station. I'm staying over. I wish you could, but we're all out of beds. And then one of the funniest lines is, I don't need a bed. I can sleep in a drawer after what they did to me overseas. That's right.
I don't need a bed. I can sleep in a drawer.
Bobby, of course, is very happy, and he says that he offers that he can sleep on the couch. And Cotton, of course, is like, oh, that'll be fine. Not a big deal. Peggy, however, has a big problem with this.
Yeah.
Her and Hank have to go to the side of the house. They have to talk about his dad, Satan, and how that ill-mannered, foul-mouthed old man is not going to spend another moment in her house.
Yeah, she don't like him whatsoever.
No, she really doesn't. And Hank
she even tells him, you can't see your father for who he truly is.
Yeah. Hank is, you don't understand him, that men love him, and that's why women don't like him.
Which is funny, because as much as she hates him right now, there's an episode later on that will eventually hit where Peggy actually, if it wasn't for him, she wouldn't ever be able to walk again.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Absolutely.
Because he killed 50 men. And lost his shins in Japan.
So I'm going to read a little excerpt from this exchange between Hank and Peggy. Okay. This is starting off with Hank. Starting off with Peggy. You just cannot see your father for who he is. Well, Bobby and I both want him to stay, says Hank. That means you're outvoted. And she says, well, Luann agrees with me. And so
yeah.
And then one of the funniest thing that Hank says in the entire thing is, well, Jesus loves him, so I win.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, they end up staying. Dee Dee and him are gonna bunk there that evening. And, of course, there's Mr. Khan, my bags.
Yeah, my bags. Yeah.
So now we are fast-forwarding to the next morning. Everybody has slept, and Bobby and Cotton are sitting at the breakfast table, and he wants to know if Hank has fixed his car yet. Hank says, I hadn't gotten to it yet, Dad. I just woke up. 7 a.m.
He said, it's 7 a.m., yeah.
It's just
if you
7
were in the
a.m.
army, you could have dug 10 graves by now. I hope you're all hungry.
Yeah, and then Peggy, being the dutiful wife here, she has provided breakfast for everybody.
Yep.
But Cotton, it's just not good enough for him because he's got steak, he's got his bacon, he's got all the meats except for the sausage. And he wants to know where his sausage is.
Down at the Safeway.
That's right. It's down at the Safeway. That's right.
You're welcome to march yourself down to the Safeway.
See, Bobby? Woman works, man loses his sausage.
There you go.
Bwaaa tries to fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas.
Yeah, she says, Cotton, I'd love to debate this with you, but I'm a little too busy living here in the latter half of the 20th century.
That's right. And Hank, again.
Which this is a show that really explores the latter half and the beginning of this century.
Yeah, it's definitely the latter half of the 20th century. Hank, again, not being able to see what's going on, just agrees with Cotton that he can drive Bobby to school, but not in his car. He's going to drive it in Hank's truck. And so Hank says he'll go put the pedal extenders in.
Yeah, I'll go rig up your pedal extenders. Yeah.
I'll go rig up your pedal extenders. And then, of course, Cotton always having something to say to women. He is talking to Luann and tells Luann that she's all skin and bones. She needs to put some corn pone on them hips.
Yeah, some corn pone on them hips.
Yeah, corn pone. Luann says she doesn't want any, and she doesn't want to get fat.
And he goes, well, that's not for you to worry about. Men are the ones that tell you if you're attractive or not.
That's right.
You'll never know.
You'll never know if you're attractive.
It's up for a man to tell you that, yeah. You keep eating and I'll tell you when to stop.
And then Luann gets pissed because
she's feisty. Luann is feisty, yeah.
He puts his hand on her and she says, touch me again. You'll be wearing that corn pone, old man.
Don't forget where she comes from. She comes from a woman who stabbed her husband with a fork.
Oh, she comes from a trailer park, too. So, she's ready to fight.
She's a scrapper. And, well, she's a mechanic, too. She can work on cars, and mechanics' forearms from working on vehicles. I'm sure she'd slap somebody around.
Oh, I have no doubt she'd get in the middle of a fist fight. She doesn't have any problem with that.
Oh, no.
So instead of taking Bobby to school, where does he take him?
Oh, doesn't he take him?
He takes him to the bar.
Oh, yeah, he takes him to the bar. Yeah, he takes him to the bar. Sorry. Yeah, he takes him to the bar. I thought we were at the part where he takes him to the hotel. No, yeah, he takes him to the bar. Yeah,
He said, Bobby's like, are you sure it's okay for me to be out of school today, Grandpa? He goes, oh, yeah, it's a holiday, isn't it? It's Angie Dickinson's birthday.
Angie Dickinson's birthday, yeah.
Yeah, and then he lets Bobby order food, which Bobby is extremely excited about because
his dad never lets him order food.
Hank never lets him order food. Yeah. Well, you ain't with your daddy today. So Bobby then gets to see once again how Cotton treats women because he slaps the waitress on the butt and says, how about some sandwiches?
Yeah, how about some sandwiches?
Yeah. The problem that you have here is that Bobby's being shown how not to act.
How not to act.
Basically, right?
Which isn't the first time. And Bobby is a sponge for this stuff because whenever they go to Louisiana later on to go meet Bill's family, he turns into this Southern belle and wears all these fancy suits. And I'm just wilting, And then, he does this so much. He's a chameleon. He takes on all these people's personas and dresses like them and acts like them. He does it also with Buck Strickland too on the golf course.
Oh yeah, absolutely with Buck. Buck is kind of ends up being a substitute for Cotton. Whenever Cotton's not around.
Oh, absolutely, and he does a good job at it too.
So this is when we find out that the solenoid has disappeared, and Dale, of course, is there to lend his opinion on how strange things happens, like solenoids disappearing. Yeah. Because one day his cousin woke up and his kidney was gone, and at the same time, 500 miles away, a woman in Phoenix contracted diabetes.
Yeah,
Both don't have anything to do with each other. Yeah. Yeah, so Luann actually ends up fixing the car.
Yeah, I fixed it, Uncle Hank.
Yeah, and how it just purrs like a kitten.
Dang old kitten, yes. Just purrs like just a dang old kitten.
And then it's just so weird, like Hank is out of the blue. Well, my dad sure knows how to take care of cars. Like he took care of it or something. He didn't.
He didn't take care of it.
No, the car's a piece of junk. But Hank tells the story about how his mom made him a chamois suit when he was a baby. Yeah. And Cotton would just let him crawl all over the hood.
And buff it till it shined like Christmas, yeah.
That's right. And then Hank is reminded by the guys about that time that Cotton took them all to Hotel Arlen.
Yeah, Hank, you won the big game, so I'm buying you and your friends hookers. Yeah.
Now go on, boy. Pick out a live one.
Yeah, pick yourself out a live one.
Yeah. That is not probably not the way to treat your kids. But again, this is a guy that took him out to see cows doing it. Well, to teach him the birds and the bees.
Yeah. But it's actually it's kind of crazy how common that is in certain for certain generations, where their dad took them to go meet a hooker.
Yeah, and then we find out that the solenoid was taken out on purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah, they ended up finding some another part of the car that was wrapped up somewhere.
They find it wrapped up in a bunch of old T-shirts up in the room that they were staying in.
Little bitty pants under a big pile of lies. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, Hank, with his avoidance of the whole thing, tells Peggy that that his dad just wanted to spend some more time with him. That's why he did that.
Yeah, and she said, we made it so hard for him, and he's afraid to ask. Hank tells Peggy that, sorry. He says, yeah, you made it hard for him, and he's afraid to ask. He says, you're right. It's my fault. Why didn't I serve that poor man his sausage?
Yeah, and then you've got... Then you've got Luann. She's found the timing belt also.
Yeah, he's got, the timing belt in the laundry. Yeah. You want me to wash it with the darks?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bobby and Cotton are sitting in their underwear, and he goes, good morning, angels. I think that, do I have an assignment for you? Yeah.
Yeah. He loves the fact that it's Shelly Hack.
Yeah.
Shelly Hack's his big thing. That's like getting a shimp. Because Shelly Hack was only on Charlie's Angels for very, very short
time. For a very short
time,
yeah.
But they're both sitting there with their pants off, and Peggy is trying to find out what Cotton's doing to Bobby, basically, here.
Yeah. And it's actually Hank.
Well, what I'm saying is Bobby ends up slapping his mom on the butt.
Oh, yeah. You talking about where he slaps his mom on the butt and everything, and she gets pissed off or whatever because of they're sitting around in their underwear and stuff like that, and that's not something Hank does or nothing like that. And then she goes,
she's ready for him to leave.
Yeah.
We can't leave because because of the car. And Peggy says, well, Hank fixed it. He goes, oh, that's a good one, Hank's wife. A woman fixing a car. That's like a pig trying to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Luann fixed it. Yeah, he said actually Luann fixed it.
Yeah.
That's
Luann
a good
fixed
one,
it.
Hank's wife.
Yeah, a woman fixing a car that's like a pig trying to read.
Yeah.
Bobby slapping his mom on the butt becomes a big deal. And this kind of opens up Hank's eyes a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, and she starts telling him, I'll tell you where he got the idea. He goes, well, I don't know where you got the idea. You could slap your mother's behind or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, yeah, well, you get it from your father. That's where he got the idea from. It's your fault for not nipping it in the bud. I like that, nipping it in the bud. You know that term? It's a very Southern term.
Yeah, he talks about how he can't change his father and stuff. But the problem is, he doesn't need to change his father. He just needs to tell his father to get the hell out.
Yeah,
That's what he needs to do.
You're both peacocks. You're both men. Yeah. Tell him to go home.
Yeah.
Oh, and then this is funny, this part right here. So he goes, so what are you, he said, what are you, a feminist or something like that? And then she goes, I'm not a feminist, Hank. I am Peggy Hill, a citizen of the Republic of Texas. I work hard, I sweat hard, and I love hard. I got to smell good and look pretty while I'm doing it. So I comb my hair, I reapply lipstick 30 times a day, I do your dishes, I wash your clothes, and I clean the house. And not because I have to, Hank, because of mutual unspoken agreement that I've never brought up because I'm too much of a lady. 30 times a day.
Yeah, this is where Peggy's spitfireness really comes out. Like she can get super riled up.
Yeah, she can get riled up too
over almost anything. But boy, if you get in the way of her parenting Bobby, you got some real problems here.
And there's a big barrier too that she has that you could, especially with Cotton, she's not ever afraid to break that barrier between, hey, Hank, you need to handle your dad. She don't care who's in her house. She said, it's my house. I'm going to handle it however I want to handle it. So she let Hank take it to a certain point, and when she realized Hank wasn't going to do anything about it, she made sure that something got done. I really like that about her.
Yeah.
And that's and everybody, back to the Twitter thing where they said she's a bad mom or a bad person or whatever. She's not a bad person here. And this proved this is another point that you could use to where she's not a bad mom.
No, she's honestly a pretty good mom to Bobby because Bobby is not the most easily parented kid.
No, he's
not.
I
believe. But
even though I think it's okay that you sit around your underwear, that should be an issue.
Yeah, well, that's an American right.
Yeah.
So she talks Hank into finally saying something to his dad. Mm-hmm. And he comes up and says, Dad, I need to talk to you about some things you've been telling Bobby. Well, I've been telling Bobby a lot of things. For example, I told him how I lost my shins defending our country. And then he goes into this whole story, and this is where we finally meet.
Yeah, he tells it to, he says to Bill, you want to hear that story, fatty?
Yeah.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But he goes into the story about how Uncle Sam put out the call. He lied about his age. He signed up. He went over to beat the Nazis in Italy. Then they shipped him to the Pacific Theater. A torpedo sent our troop ship to the bottom. I could only save 3 of my buddies, and this is where we meet Fatty, Stinky, and Brooklyn. That's right. They were like, you fellows, only one of them was from Brooklyn. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't, yeah.
Okay. Out of the sun came Tojo Zero and put 50 bullets in my back. 50 bullets in his back.
50 bullets in my back.
The blood attracted sharks. I had to give them to Fatty. Then things took a turn for the worse. I made it to an island, but it was full of Tojos. They were spitting on the U.S. flag.
Yeah, that's probably just like, and then on the TV show, it shows him and he's looking down off of a hill, and it's just like these Japanese soldiers with a flag spitting on it.
They were just spitting on the flag, and then they spotted him, and they shot his shins off.
But it was a trap. Yeah, he said, but it was a trap.
Last thing I remember is I beat them all to death with a piece of Fatty.
Yeah. I woke up in a field hospital, and they were sewing my feet to my knees.
Yeah, again.
Sewing my feet to my knees.
Somebody had to pick up his feet.
Yeah, put him in a bag and carry him with him.
Somebody had to pick up his feet and take him to him, yeah.
But I really like, one of my favorite parts of the animation on this part is the part where they animate him getting shot up by the Japanese machine gun, and he does the old body motion and everything, and his legs get blown out. Yeah.
Now, he's told this entire story that takes like 10 minutes to tell. And then he's like, what is it you wanted to talk to me about, Hank?
Yeah.
Finally at that. And Hank's like, well, nothing, I guess. Connie is looking kind of chunky.
Oh, Bill, we're back to Bobby. Sorry, at the cafeteria table. Yeah, you've had enough cake, Connie.
Looking kind of chunky. What are you doing? A man's got to tell a woman when to stop eating. He goes, well, you're looking kind of chunky. She's moody.
Must be PBS.
Must be the PBS. That's right. That's right. So, again, we go into the point where...
and then Bobby, after he says must be PBS, he looks over at Joseph and he says, let's go. I got to go see a man about a horse.
That's right. That's right. He tells him to bust his tray, and then that's when Cotton launches into the whole thing about it being woman's work.
That's woman's work.
And same deal with Bobby. Bobby's starting to talk about that.
And then he does woman's work, and then boom, the whole cafeteria blows up into a food fight.
Yeah. And the thing is, Cotton is proud of what Bobby did, chanting about the cake and the woman's work and all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. So and it cuts to Hank sitting in his office with a guy standing at the office, coming to buy propane, and he's sitting there, thinking out loud, but he's a war hero. She's my wife. He's got no shins. And he's trying to justify his dad over his wife, which you should never, there's never a justification. Your wife should be number one. But then he says, I'm just trying to get a little propane here.
Yeah, and Peggy informs him that Bobby was sent home from school today for starting a sexist riot.
A sexist riot,
right. Yeah. That's right.
I like that.
So again, like I say, Cotton is proud of Bobby, and this is just a little too much for everybody.
Yep.
This is the point where Hank starts defending his son, starts defending his wife, and finds out that I guess he kind of opens his eyes a little bit. Because
absolutely.
For Hank, honestly, you don't screw with his family.
No, not at all. And it takes a while to get there for him because we're at the end of the 22-minute episode.
Yeah.
And it takes a while for him to get there, but that gives you the tale of morality at the end, that, family's always number one. It doesn't matter if it's mom, dad, whoever. It's, your wife and your kids should take precedence over everything. It doesn't matter in the world.
Yeah, Hank is to this point where he's ready for his dad to leave at this point.
Yeah, he's ready to have the sanctity of his sanctuary. Yeah.
Well, and he's ready for his wife to be respected and his kid to go back to the way it was. And
he's weird already. You don't need any extra help.
Yeah. Hank starts telling him about how. Before we say that, I think the real tipping point here is the sexist riot, but then also the fact that now Cotton wants to buy Bobby a hooker.
Yeah, he takes him to the Hotel Arlen, and this is crazy because when they first get to the hotel, there's a sign out front that says it's like a woman's conference or something.
That's right.
Woman Trial Lawyers Association conference is going on. So they walk in, and there's it's just women everywhere and that's the funny part. So he walks in and he goes. He said Devil took the Bobby off to Hotel Arlen. So when they get there, he goes, Bobby, I'm proud for what you did at school today. So I'm buying you a hooker. Go ahead and pick yourself out a live one. Live one, what? And he's like, hey, cutie, you got your papers? Bobby, get over here now.
This is the point where Hank breaks.
He snaps. He snaps on this part because
he finally
if
tells
you go
him
back to when Hank, it goes back to the flashback with Hank and the guys when they're doing it.
Yeah.
Hank was ridiculously,
he was bawling,
obnoxiously uncomfortable.
Yeah. He was just bawling the whole time, and he just couldn't. He couldn't do it.
No, he had a conversation instead of consummation.
Yeah, you feel like the other three went through with it. They didn't have any problem with
no
it.
problem. Bill Dozer at the time. Nah.
Yeah, Bill Dozer, Boomhauer, especially Dale.
Yeah, he was running through defensive lines and hookers. He didn't care.
Yeah.
Bill was there.
Dale was a towel boy at the time, so he was probably happy for the action.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But finally, we get Hank standing up to his dad. He tells him how number one, he starts off with "No wonder mom left you," which that is a huge thing for Hank to say.
Oh, a real big thing.
He never blamed his dad for this thing.
Yeah.
And now, at this point,
he's blaming him.
He's snapped, right?
She was a strong lady, classy and smart like Peg. Maybe you couldn't handle that, but I can. My marriage is a partnership of equals. Peggy might do all the housework, but there are a lot of other things that I'm supposed to do. But I'm not going to say what they are because I'm a gentleman.
I'm a gentleman. The other things I'm supposed to do.
Well, it's funny because she says the same thing, too, in her argument. She says, but I'm a lady.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's a gentleman. And Cotton is pretty much convinced that he is just the puppet of Peggy. And Hank convinces him that, no, I'm not.
She's making you say this.
Yeah, and it's time for you to go. When Hank gets to the point where he's telling his dad to go, things have hit the wall.
It's time to go, yeah.
Yeah.
He said, I got Dee Dee out in the car, packed up, ready to go. The car's idling. Better hurry up and hop out in it.
Yeah, he's ready for his dad to go.
Yeah, the part. Okay, so he tells Dee Dee out in the car or whatever, and then as Cotton's walking away, he goes, I never thought I'd see the day when my own son would stop loving me. And there's like this pause for a second. He goes, it's about time. Love's for sissies. Ain't that right, you house full of hookers?
He's talking to the women's conference.
Yeah. All right, hookers, listen up. I'll be back next year, so don't be jacking up your prices. Yeah. I'll be staying over at Hank Hill's home.
Yeah, and he's got and then we've got Hank trying to get Bobby back on the straight and narrow. So he tells him to forget all that gobbledygook that your grandfather told you. You got to listen to your mother. She knows best. And then Bobby fires back with, but she's a woman.
But she's a woman.
Yeah. And
how could she know better than Grandpa?
Hank tells him that it's because she's a lot smarter than him, for one. And that is
debatable.
Well, I don't know if it's debatable necessarily, but she's definitely a lot easier to get along with.
Absolutely.
Peggy's a handful, but she's a hell of a lot easier to get along with than Cotton. Anyway.
Well, depending on the situation, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, she rushes into burning buildings, and she jumps out of airplanes. And
yeah, she is. She's different.
She comes back from things.
Where they say she's built different.
Size 16 triple E's.
Really built different.
Yeah, she's definitely
triple skis.
She's definitely bigger. So anyway, Hank talks to Bobby about how his mom is really the person he ought to be respecting, not his grandfather. And finally, he tells him that when you're older, I hope you're lucky enough to find a girl that you can be friends with too. And this is really the touching part of it here, where Hank really kind of tells Bobby how much he loves his mother, because I can't imagine that Bobby has seen this a lot.
No, there's probably not a lot of affection. There's probably not a lot of hand holding or sitting on the couch snuggled up.
When Hank finally takes a poop, there's a big hug and all.
That's the catalyst. That's the catalyst.
Yeah.
And I think there's the only reason why he's accepting of that hug is because they all thought he was going to have his colon cut out and be on a colostomy bag for the rest of his life.
Yeah, Bobby questions the fact that he'll be able to get somebody as good as his mom, and Hank tells him that if he stops slapping those girls around on the butt, then he'll do fine.
Yeah, wait till you're in a relationship with them first, because they actually like it. But he tells me he'll do okay.
He does go out saying that women were not put on this earth to serve you and me, which is pretty.
And the funny part of that is there was a woman that was serving them that ice cream.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And I think that's part of the joke. As he's saying that, a woman walks up to the window to take their ice cream order. Yeah.
That's right. No, I think that this shows once again. I think a lot of people have the wrong idea about this show and about Hank Hill. Being a racist, a homophobe, a sexist, and all this stuff. And Hank is literally none of those things.
Hank is very progressive, actually.
He is. Hank is progressive, but he doesn't know it.
Yeah, but he doesn't know it,
because Hank is just a good person.
He's just himself. He's just doing what's right. And that's what he says.
He really is.
He says when he was talking about, well, I don't hate Khan. I don't hate him because he's Laotian. I hate him because of of the man.
I hate him because of the man. Yeah, not because of where he comes from. Yeah. No, this is a great episode because it really sets Cotton up as the villain here.
Oh, easy.
Cotton's going to be the villain every time you see him from now on. There's no soft side.
Not every time. There is a soft side. Well, not soft. Which one? Whenever Peggy falls out of the airplane and she breaks her legs, and he's still not soft. So I agree with you that there's never a soft side, but there is a softer side.
There is maybe a little bit softer side.
Concrete to like wood. Wood's a little softer than concrete, but it's still hard.
This dude is a pain in the butt. He is
pain
not
in the shins.
He's a shin splint.
Yeah.
He is not a good guy. My wife had shin splints last night.
Oh, she did. Was she running on concrete?
No. She goes. I got a shin splint. And I was like, I don't know what the hell that is.
Generally, get it from running on
rough
or like hard surfaces.
She was.
I don't really know what a shin splint is because I don't really run anywhere.
She was hobbling all over the house last night, and all I could think of was Cotton. And
Cotton Hill. Was she walking around telling she killed 50 men with a knife in her head? I killed 50 men.
She did not say she had killed 50 men. No, she was in a lot more pain than I think Cotton ever was. That's the other thing. Cotton never talks about it. It's got to be painful to walk around on your feet and your knees, right?
Well, not if you killed 50 men. I mean, he's been through worse things.
Is that what does it?
He got shot in the back
50 times
by
50 times
a
by
Japanese
Tojo's.
Zero plane. Right. He got shot in the back by a plane 50 times.
That's right.
And, he fought Italy. I mean, he's fought in 2 different theaters of war.
Yeah.
I don't know. He might just be built different.
They
might have done some.
He's like a $6 million man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some early experimentation. It might have been like there might be no nerves.
Maybe that's where that titanium is.
Around. Yeah, the titanium alloy from the space shuttle.
Yeah, maybe they put it all over his shins.
Yeah.
Well, this is a fantastic episode again. Season 1, episode 8, Shins of the Father.
How funny would it have been though if Lieutenant Dan and Cotton Hill served together actually in combat zone, or one of the relatives of because Lieutenant Dan was Vietnam, so maybe because you know how I had a relative die in every single American war, so maybe he served Lieutenant Dan's dad.
I just wonder,
Dan the first.
Do you think does Cotton eat shrimp?
Probably not.
I don't picture him as a guy who enjoys seafood too much.
I don't think he eats rice. I don't think he would eat rice either because he was in a
because of the war.
He was in a Japanese camp.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure
that was a lot of rice.
Probably a lot of rice.
Yeah,
probably a lot of fish too.
Yeah, I just don't see him as eating shrimp. That's the only thing I can't think that he and Uncle Dan.
I'm only eating American food. Corn dogs and hot dogs.
Corn dogs and hot dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Again, first time we saw Dee Dee, and I don't think we see her again until she's pregnant.
Yeah, and so I looked up the writers. I can't remember their names, but the 2 writers that start, this is where they get their start. So I couldn't find anything else about them. So whoever the writers are, I apologize for not knowing your name off the top of my head, but this is where they get their start was on this episode.
Yeah.
So
it's a really good episode, and this
I'll have that information for the next episode.
Introduces us to a lot of characters that we see throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Cotton too. Cotton's fabulous.
And I'd like everybody to know that the horse was never found.
Never found.
Yeah.
Still trotting away.
The horse is running around.
So if you're sitting on Rain Street and you hear those ghostly gallops, you might want to go outside and call your local horse rental facilities.
Call your local horse rental facilities.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better way to end it than call your local horse rental facility.
There you go.
All right, man. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Wimitanya.
We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Thanks, Argentina.
Yeah, no kidding.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast. Frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Mike.
And we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the 2 of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros, Foes, Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you live. Not really, but please subscribe.
Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen heroes. gonna tell you about.
Welcome to One Star Rewind, a new podcast about those dreaded one-star reviews that every business owner hates to receive, but yet every customer loves to read. During this podcast, we will peel back that one-star review to better understand how it happened, when it happened, and what the business owner is doing after receiving that one-star review. This podcast will be about love, hate, and laughter. On One Star Rewind, we will meet with real business owners who will tell their stories and how they do rely on reviews for their business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or download us at roguemedianetwork.com. Please subscribe, but only rate and review for not a one-star review. Join us each time for a new review and a new story.